sky, saw the sun, and the way that gravity moves on everyone.
Welcome back, everybody, to the RAF Storm Shadows channel, where today we're in with day 4 of RLCS with now called Dangerous Esports Club, which you guys might know before, and through qualifiers they went through Tokyo Tigers. So, yeah, it was literally sorted out today. So it's Pluvo, Cash, and Grammar, and of course Coach Stelios. Yeah, they're now signed by Dangerous Esports Club. And yeah, we're here to support them. So yeah, I'm just really excited for today. Obviously, we're playing Dignitas first, which is not the easiest game in the world, but I believe.
Absolutely. I believe as well. I've just been looking around, appreciating the new furniture here. I love the new colouring. I'm loving the logo. And well, if that was all organised today, you guys did a fantastic job here to redecorate our entire stream to fit our new theme. We say goodbye to the Tokyo Tigers, but hello to Dangerous Esports Club. And they did look dangerous towards the end of that Swiss stage. Of course, they lost those first 2 series, but we would call it, I guess, a Stelios masterclass. Completely changed the fortunes of the team, got their mentals back in check, and we saw a fantastic end to that Swiss run, a reverse Swiss to get them to the main event. It's Pluvo's second time compared to, you know, whatever Shift wanted to tweet out at that specific moment. Grammar's spent a few times in the top 16, and not sure if this is Cash's first or not. It might be his first, who knows? Just kidding. The Cannon's been to a world championship, so I'm very excited to see them here in the European main event. Yes, Dignitas is a challenge. Yes, they 9-0'd their way through Swiss, and maybe the Tokyo Tigers couldn't cause any damage against them, but maybe Dangerous Esports Club could.
Yeah, well, if they could, and I'm sure they can. We all believe it. We're all behind the boys. I'm just like super excited to be casting. This is probably the best series I will have casted so far in my very short casting career. But no, obviously it's going to be against some very established players, being Jorius, Appjack, and Stizzy, and yeah, they had a very solid split last time around. We had a brief talk about SirPigasus before. I don't know if you want to go a little bit more in depth about that for the viewers.
Indeed, they had their lowest performances in Open 1, but of course it was a completely new team. We see apparently Jack back in EU, Stizzy finally given his first chance, and he did look a bit nervy in that first Open. But they finished in 5th to 6th place. So, I mean, that's not too bad, is it? They lost in a Game 7 versus 100%. And then in their second and third Open, it was a Grand Finals loss to Carmine Core. And in their third Open, it was a 3rd to 4th finish versus GK Esports. So we can say that that first Open was a bit of a warm-up for them. But that second and that third, they only lost to the eventual champions in that Open. So I'm just saying, if Dangerous are able to get a victory here, that's really good prospects moving forward if that pattern were to continue. But of course, they were a team that were at that Birmingham Major. They dropped out in Swiss round 5 to GK in what was a thrilling Game 5. I remember watching that at the official RLCS kind of watch party they had going on that day before stage. So that's going to be a team that's really hungry to go back to that major and actually qualify to crowd that time. It's a shame that Dangerous are going to be sitting in their way.
Yeah, and it's a team you don't want to come up against. A new team. Obviously, they've all. It's not the first time for Pluvo and Grammar team together, but it is a new team. And they've gathered a little bit of a momentum and a little bit of a fan base, and that is not what you want if you are sitting in the Dignitas corner. But no, hopefully it'll be a nice, close game. This should be one of the best games we've had on the REF Storm Shadows channel so far to date. But yeah, hopefully we can put on a show. And yeah, let's hopefully get a win, because that's best case scenario.
And we had a little conversation about English talents during that Swiss stage with, of course, Cash being one of the best English talents we have seen in recent years, Pluvo being one of those players that's up and coming. But this time we're going to come up against apparently Jack, who easily, when he was at North America, was considered the best player in the world at certain points. That's when Gen G were at their absolute best. They were dangerous, and apparently Jack was certainly at the forefront of that roster. One of the most mature players you will see in the scene. Gave actually a lot of compliments towards Pluvo for his British Esports Cup Grand Finals appearance, and that saw him on the big screen at the Major, and also gave him some props as well when this team came together. Now they're going to have to be opponents, and, well, apparently Jack is going to have to move aside for those talents finding themselves here in the top 16, because, of course, the last time Pluvo made a main event, it was a 16th finish in a Swiss stage at the time. So any wins here would be an improvement to that last campaign.
Well, yeah. Let's talk about that last main event for Pluvo. Like, he did a really strong effort getting to it, but once we got there, I think he was quite disappointed with the result. So hopefully we'll see a bit of a bounce back. Now he's made it back. See if he can push forward from his previous result. And I'd say he's on track. He's looked very, very good recently. Despite the beginning of day 3, the disappointment there with some of those losses. But no, things are looking up for Pluvo, and I think the English Rocket League scene at the moment has a lot of talent.
Yeah. It's having that bit of a resurgence, and the same can be said to Italy, frankly, when we look towards players like Grammar. Of course, Novo Esports had some of their stints into the top 16 during that first split. They didn't have the best performance in this Open, but Grammar was one of those players that proved himself to be strong, had been in a few good teams in his time, including the likes of Arrogance, where he did have himself some Italian teammates. Of course, for Dangerous Esports Club, playing in an Italian LAN as well with teammate Davoof. And I am wondering if we've got a test lobby, or they've just decided to go out quick on the gates here. You're nodding your head to say probably a test lobby. So
this is the first thing I've seen, so I'm assuming this is a test lobby. We'll find out in a minute if it's not. It might not be, but I will let you guys watch just in case it's not. Let's hope it's not. But if it is, we're 1-0 up.
Let's pray.
I hope it's not a test lobby.
Yeah, because we've been in a party with the players here, and this is their first time playing together. But usually when it's a test lobby, you know, players are just flicking about. They don't really care all that much. They are sweating these opening stages. I know that there were a bit of shake-ups towards the scrims for, well, it says Tokyo Tigers at the top. No more here, Dangerous Esports Club. So if this is the test lobby, they'll be using it for practice. If this is the actual match going underway, then they'll be using this first game for practice as well. Maybe grabbing themselves a win on the way. It's just too easy for them, I guess. But I'd like to see if they could continue this momentum. Last time I casted a team stream and they faced Dignitas, it was for the likes of Nomster. They were able to get a few goals against that side and see themselves ahead of them. But Dignitas, they're an unrelenting force. They've got a mature head on all the shoulders of those players. Like I said, apparently Jack, known as one of the most mature players in the scene, he's not going to be too worried about going down by 1 goal, because he knows very well that he can earn it right back.
Yeah, and he, makes a statement straight away, getting the first goal for Dignitas. As we were talking about, apparently Jack, he's been pretty much the forefront of conversation for this Dignitas team, and in his most of his teams, I think he's been part of. He's probably been the player that everyone looks to make a difference, as he's going to try to get past Pluvo, but Cash is up so fast. I think they're just not giving this Dignitas team any room to breathe. Just try and shut them out before they can even get started.
And I'm loving the love in chat as well for the team. We see the likes of course, Cash's mum, Psycho, great friend of ourselves and the channel as well, showing their signs of support over to the roster. There we go. Quick overlay change here for DNG. Now they are no longer the Tokyo Tigers, and Pluvo puts them in the lead. And I guess we can just call that the org buff, right? As soon as it changed on the overlay, we saw a change in the gameplay as well. So thank you very much, DNG, because not only have you given these players a home, you've given them an extra goal against a major contender.
I mean, that's maybe just what we needed. Just the org buff, which we didn't have. We had a little bit of org buff, not the full thing, but now we've got the name. The org buff is in full swing, and we're up against Dignitas.
This is fantastic. We'll have to see if they can maintain it. Dignitas immediately piled on the pressure after that first goal from DNG, and we saw them make quick workings of grabbing equality. Jorius looking to do the exact same thing, but apparently Jack steals it yet again, just like he did for the goal before. This time, however, I don't think there are any doubts about it. You would say just making sure in case Pluvo somehow got on the end of it, but I don't think he has those extra boost thrusters installed onto his Fennec yet. I think that's being saved for Rocket League 2. Jory is looking for a follow-up shot here, quick after a kickoff to put Dignitas in the lead for the first time in this game, because so far it has all been DNG call and response.
Yeah, and I think it's safe to say that this is probably not a test lobby, and this is the real deal. I think we've gone far enough now to confirm that. But no, it's pretty positive so far. 2-2. It's basically 0-0. Same thing. But Dangerous looking very, very strong. Much stronger than they were, or than they seemed in the day 3 that we all watched. And it's glad to, well, it's nice to see that they've regained, and they're looking a lot stronger. And of course, Pluvo and Grammar being together at LAN have that LAN buff on top of the org buff, so maybe that has a factor as well.
Absolutely, and Pluvo and Grammar, they were together in a main event. That was Pluvo's one time in a top 16 already. You would say this was a better start than before, but Stizzy getting that third goal for Dignitas. We'll see DNG going behind, but overall, this is a performance to be impressed of. I know that Stelios was having some words with the players, telling them that they certainly are good enough to pull off what many would consider a shock result, but these players, they've been in the kitchen for quite some time, cooking something special. Now it's time to feast. Grammar sent it off that crossbar, but no one was quite there on the follow. But more warnings being sent to Dignitas that, you know, we might not be Vitality, we might not be Carmine Core, we might not even be GK, but DNG are here to play.
Aaron Grammar was so unfortunate not to get a goal there. Absolutely hammering the crossbar with a mighty flick. That's definitely something that he will have learned from his extensive experience in 1v1 as Cash somehow makes it over the defender. And again, we're level against Dignitas. I don't know how many times I'm going to say it today, but we've really brought the flame.
We really have, and Psycho actually put a chant in chat earlier for Cannon. I guess he scored now, let's try it. He's got the flicks, he's got the flame, lighting up the goal, that's his game. Top bin shots that melt your eyes. Scoring bots can't match his name. Cash Cannon. Yeah, I think that's back to the drawing board. Yeah, I think that's back. Psycho, come back with something else. We'll try it again. But that one has to go.
Yeah, something at the end
has to go. Grammar with a fantastic save. That shot had to go as well, focusing a bit more on the gameplay. Yeah,
well, you know, the chant just needs a bit more flow. But anyway, enough about the chant. Cash is going to collect it off his own backboard. Guess it makes Stizzy very awkward, but it is going to open up for apparently Jack to go for a solo play. Pluvo's like, nah, mate, that isn't happening. As Grammar is going to find Pluvo. Pluvo puts it in the net. Oh! 5 seconds left. Could that be the winner, Pigasus?
It could be. 5 seconds left. Grammar with a solid 50. Pluvo in that perfect position. And that is just the telekinetic nature these two players have with each other. They got that telepathy going. They're like a fungus. But, you know, something a little bit nicer than that. It feels a bit harsh to call them a fungus, but hold on a minute. 0 seconds. A response is still required. They would have scored a 5th. Dignitas escaped with their life. Now the scoreline looks close. We know a few seconds extra. It certainly wouldn't be. What a start for DNG.
That is the dream start. We've now got a game advantage going into, well, I'll say going into this series, to continue this series, which is what you want against a team like Dignitas, a very established team, like I mentioned before. And yeah, I wasn't expecting that straight out of the gates. If I'm gonna be brutally honest, you know. And maybe Psycho's chant, maybe it's good. Maybe it's good.
Maybe it was all Psycho. So true. Maybe it was all the chant. I see Hyder in chat as well, supporting a fellow man of the same nation. You love to see it here. That was a great victory to get themselves started. And well, when they played against Gentlemates in the Swiss stage in that first round, you saw them have a rather close game, but they couldn't quite go the full distance. And then after receiving that first game loss with a 1-goal difference, I believe that one went to an overtime, they kind of fell apart. So it goes to show you how important that first game is to get in your favor, just for the mental side as well. Yes, you can take some time afterwards to fix it, but to get yourself at a high spot and maintain it in a best-of-5 format is going to be much more important for this DNG roster. So I hope that they can continue where they left off here in this second game. And where they left off was the ball centimeters away from the opponent's line. Cash on the ball, flip, reset, get us started. Crossbar hit, and there's Pluvo to get it done. Dignitas, who I only know Dangerous Esports Club.
And again, the pressure is just straight on the Dignitas side. It's like they're constantly just trying to get away from this pressure and get away from this dangerous team. And it turns out the team named Dangerous seems to be pretty dangerous.
Yeah, they're looking spiky at the moment, and Dignitas spending too much time tending to their wounds here to respond to the shots that are coming across here from DNG. I love that demo from Grammar as well. That physical play was such a big factor for them later in the Swiss, just opening up some of that space, getting themselves positioned well. There's Cash with a completely open net. The cannon back like he never left. Escaping from retirement, beating one of the best teams Europe has to offer.
And I'm going to put it out there. Do you think Dignitas are a little bit shocked by what they've come up against here? Because I know I would be if I was Dignitas right now.
I think they would be here because, of course, Cash announcing his retirement. Apparently, Jack has been at the top of his game for quite some time. They're very aware of who Pluvo is, but I feel like they thought maybe some more time would be required before you could even question a result like this coming into place. But apparently, Jack knows to be respectful here, and I'm sure he's going to be leading his teammates to do the same. And I don't think we're going to see any stizzies shushing the camera like we have done in certain series. Last player, that's some space opened up here by Cash, and Pluvo making it look so easy. The magician at work here on the biggest stage. Am I dreaming? Is this the test lobby? I mean, I'm still not sure yet. What is going on?
I hope not. I don't know. We're with the second game, and it's definitely not. But wow, I'm pretty lost for words. 3-0 up against a team like this that got to a grand final in Regional 2 of last split, and it was seen at the major in round 5 of Swiss. But yeah, we're here 3-0 up, a game up. Who knows what's going to happen?
I am astounded by this performance we are seeing so far from DNG. And whereas in the first game we saw a bit of life from Dignitas, and after a goal they would provide heaps of pressure against DNG and keep it close, I'm really not seeing that same ferocity in this second game. It truly feels like DNG are the dominant team. There's Grammar with some 1v1 experience that's dribbling his way past the most recent major contenders. Bye-bye, Jurius. That's a 1v1 main on the other team in his own regards. It's as if the colours are switched. It's as if you swapped the nameplates. Then no one would be surprised. But look at chat at the moment. People are certainly shocked, but with smiles on their faces. Dignitas, though, will respond with their first goal. We've still got over half the game to go. DNG just have to hold.
Absolutely, and it is going to be very much, I feel like, a mental game now for the side of DNG. Just hold. That's all they need to do. They don't need to overextend for these bumps and debits. They just need to keep hold of this ball, try and give Dignitas as little possession as possible, because with the players that are on the other side, they can do some damage when they do have the ball. But extra goals, you know, I wouldn't mind them too.
Absolutely not. Give us as many as you've got. Allow D&G to have that extra bit of confidence, because it felt like against Gentlemates, like I said, they lost a bit of it. They weren't sure they were worthy, but that top 16 qualification seems like it has done the difference for them, and that first game result as well, because it's picked up well into the second. Stizzy, though, again throwing that spanner in the works here. He was the player who scored that first goal. He'll be the one to score the second. He's on his way for a hat-trick. But even if he achieves it, that won't be enough to even equal the goals scored by D&G so far. Second half, though, only just going underway, and Dignitas with a bit of fire under their bellies.
Yeah, and there's still 2 minutes left as Cash
No
goes
way!
for a crazy sidewall. That very, very nearly came off. But yeah, like I was saying, it's very much a game, I feel like, of nerves now for this DNG side. They've got this 2-goal lead, and they're very aware that they have this 2-goal lead on Dignitas. It's just about holding it, and I think if they concede another goal, it will really start to get in their heads. But hopefully that is where Coach Stelios is going to come into the equation. And maybe he already has come into the equation, which is why they're here in the first place.
Yeah, absolutely. He was definitely a factor in their Swiss run. Jorius with that third goal. This is where you start to get a bit nervous. This is where, like you said before, Stelios needs to earn his position. DNG were 4 goals up before that halfway point. You can't allow your team to have that fear, to feel like the inevitable is starting to approach them, and Dignitas are going to grab this game back. Instead, go for the mind games, disrespect the opponents, and get Pluvo back on top.
And Pluvo, the so-called magician, casting spells on the defense of Dignitas. Just get out of the way of him and he'll just slot it in the net.
Using, I feel like, the opponent's confidence there to his advantage. They think they're just going to charge in and take the ball off him. He'll lure them in and rip it away at that last second. And now 2 goals is going to feel like a lot of work. Stizzy, in all fairness, though, has been trying their absolute hardest. I would say they've been the danger man for Dignitas in this second game, especially in this journey to try and grab this game back into their favor. But Pluvo, sending this long, will follow it up. Double taps available, but apparently Jack, setting this one off to Jurius, will send it right back on that other side, and you can't cry over spilt milk for too long here. That offensive chance may have gone, but you're still 2 goals in the lead, and you've still got Dignitas to hold off against.
Yeah, and that is a mighty team to hold off again. But if DNG can hold on for 30 more seconds, they're going to have 3 more chances, actually, to try and close out this series. But they have conceded 1, and 30 seconds is plenty of time for a team like Dignitas to equalize in this game number 2.
Is this where the kickoff strategies start coming out, especially when you've got a few 1v1 players on the team, some players that have been teamed for quite some time? Do they have something special in the playbook? Quite simple here. Didn't overcomplicate it. Dignitas back, but that chance will come. Stizzy looking to be the one to try and set it up. Grammar, low boost, no problems. 2 players trying to bump Cash. They don't land it, but the opening was found by Jorias. And this might be where you start to get nervous as a player. Cash not landing as he really intended there. But you've got to have that belief. Remember, DNG have been that dominance force. They've just got to keep that mentality going. They were the winners of game 1. They're looking to put themselves in a sweeping position. It's Grammar up, looking for the double. The follow-up has to be there. Pluvo forced to dummy himself off due to the positioning. Stizzy on 0 boost. Knocks it to the favourable, apparently, Jack, but Grammar's there on the beat. 2 seconds left to go. Regulation is over once this ball hits the ground or the back of the net. Will it find the back of the net? Cash would like to find it, but Jorias slams this down to the ground. Stone-faced Cash and Stelios in the face of danger. Next goal wins. We've got a double-digit scoreline. It's going to be that 11th to make the difference.
And this goal could end up being the one that decides the series, in my opinion. I think for Dangerous, if they somehow get this goal, because Dignitas have had all the momentum in the second half of this game, as Joris does toss it away.
Ooh.
The series is now level, but
Wow.
if only Dangerous held on. If Dangerous held on, we'd be in a much different opinion right now. But I think the series now can go anyway. It's now up to Stelios to talk to his players, just try and just calm them down, relax, and head into the next game of this series in a positive mindset. Because I don't know if we're watching the same game, but I saw a lot of positives from the side of Dangerous there.
Absolutely. You're going to see Violent Panda telling his team, of course, multi-time world champion, telling his team here that first game was a fluke, but to still stay careful. Stelios, on the other hand, 0-time world champion, by the way, will be telling his players that it wasn't a fluke. It's going to be a clash of different personalities in this third game. And you just need those players of Dangerous to have that belief. They had that belief early in that game. That's how they got themselves 4 goals up. But you could see it did start to slip just as Dignitas reignited themselves with an extra bit of life and got a few goals across. Some wonderful plays from Stizzy and a nice ender there from Jorius. That can send your mind trickling there because you feel like you worked so hard to get that 4-goal lead. To watch it all go towards nothing, that can be mentally damaging. But this is where you make your difference from being a bubble player to a professional. It's how you respond. Put to the test here in Game 3.
Absolutely, and it's worth mentioning, Pluvo's had a great start with back-to-back hat-tricks in Game 1 and Game 2. Hopefully he can replicate that again for a third time in Game 3. It'd be very, very nice to get another few goals head start. Obviously, the experience of Dignitas. They're not phased by a few goals. Obviously, as we saw, they came back from, what were they, three goals behind? 4 goals behind? I think it was 3 goals behind, and then back to 2 goals behind. They still came back and ended up somehow winning the game, and that's where the experience shows.
Grammar, looking for that sidewall. Oh my goodness, it was on target. But apparently Jack will make that save. Cash attempted it before. Grammar showing that he still has it. A veteran of the game starting to rub off on his 2 teammates. Not to say, but they didn't already have. He started to... Grammar's gone for it again. Why not if the first attempt went so well? Show Dignitas that you're consistent.
If it ain't
Cash
broken,
off that right wall. Yeah,
if it ain't broken, don't fix it. That's what I say.
Don't fix it. And there's nothing broken about D&G right now. I'm so happy with how they've come out swinging in this third game.
Yeah, and this time, not instantly on the pressure as we have seen in the last 2 games, but they don't look uncomfortable. Definitely not uncomfortable as Cash does manage to get a ball forward. Grammar is going to play the 50 early. Goes for a flick. Stizzy had it red. Pluvo looked to knock one down in the middle there. Cash is going to have a little bit of time. Going to go high with it, trying to fake below Jorius. Jorius, another fantastic ones player that we've seen. Yeah, absolutely just did not fall for Cash's games. Stizzy now going for a sidewall of his own. I think it comes off quite how he wanted to, but you know, Grammar's better. You know what can I say?
Yeah, I've seen enough, ladies and gentlemen. Let's stop this stream. Grammar is so clear. Cash going for the 50-50. On the final lines. It's going to be Grammar yet again coming off that corner. Could have found a teammate, but it was blocked well there by Stizzy. And apparently Jack, a hop, skip, and a jump, sees that play going forward. Pluvo, that could have been a really bad double commit if he committed too high. Luckily, he kept himself relatively grounded, and now he's an option for the save. But Grammar's bump made that a lot more difficult. He recovered himself beautifully, and now it's Cash with the shot. A bump versus apparently Jack. Sees him having to rotate back with minimal boost to his name, but with Stizzy and Jorius as the other 2 players, you certainly still have a cause for concern. And that's not a goal you want to be watching back.
I think it's just a little misflip there from Grammar. Or maybe I just pushed up a little bit too far off that back post. And the only place that he can physically put that ball is in his own goal. But by this point, last game, I think there was 6 goals already.
It was ridiculous, and 4 of those were for Dangerous as well. Oh my goodness, what a snipe there from Stizzy. Just to get a little bit of that offensive danger away. That's a cheeky fake coming from apparently Jack, but D&G I've loved their rotation so far. They just have each other's back. And Cash will get an equalizer, and it's in rather similar fashion to how we conceded. So I guess you could say we're equal to Dignitas.
I don't know what's going on anymore. I don't know. Maybe let's just level the playing field. It's 2 own goals. Nobody has scored this game.
I mean, they wish they were us, don't they? I mean, they see Grammar going for sidewalls. All of a sudden, Dignitas start going for sidewalls. Grammar scores an own goal. All of a sudden, Dignitas won't own goals. And, I mean, I get it. I'd want to be the Stallion as well. But there can only be one. He's the very best, and he's just set up a ball for Pluvo. But that's going to be an easy block for Joris. What's more impressive is how he 50'd it to a teammate, apparently Jack, who looked like he could go all the way, but Pluvo recovering himself just in the nick of time to get a save there, just coming off that backboard. Demo landing here on Joris. And now it's up to the experienced Cash to wait forward here. Zero boost, had to time his flick perfectly if Stizzy didn't get a touch. But that's a huge miss coming from Pluvo. Gramovo, like I said before, having his back. This is a duoship which has lasted for quite some time on and off occasions. But when they do team together, it's as if they never left. And speaking of never left, apparently Jack may have gone to NA, but back here in EU, he is still the same superstar.
Yeah, and he always just seems to find the gaps to get those goals, which is what makes a difference, inevitably, in these games. Still a minute to go, though, so let's not rule Dangerous out. They have been very much in this game as Abjack has pre-jumped off the ceiling. Is that on net? It's not on net, but for a minute I thought it was. And I'd have been very impressed. As Pluvo is going to take his time. Going to try beat one. Can't get over Jorias, but does fall nicely for Gramo. He's going to go for the third sidewall of the game. And that third one does not come off as nicely as those first two. Is going to fall back to the side of Dignitas. Pluvo does really well to get a touch back to his teammate of Grammar. He does beat one. Can he beat two? He can't beat two. Jack there yet again. Definitely been the standout player for me on this Dignitas side so far.
Jorius back up, wanting that soft touch. Apparently Jack gets there just before Grammar. And Cash will send it long, and it's a similar position to before where that clock is whittling down, but DNG have some space in that final third. It's a nice layoff touch here coming from Stizzy. Apparently Jack just wants to keep this ball close to ground, but that demo will still leave some space for Pluvo. It's a fortunate bounce, and it's all about if Cash can grab this one under control, gets the 100 boost as well. And he doesn't want to attempt that coast to coast, sees Stizzy going forward a pre-jump. And well, it was a good idea, but Dignitas see an end to it. Game 3 goes in favor of the major contenders. And again, not a bad performance. Still a statement here for the rest of Europe.
Yeah, and it's 1-goal games. I think every game, I think it's been a 1-goal game so far, one of them being in overtime. And yeah, Dangerous definitely aren't out of this series. It's just, again, I think it's much more of a mental game for this Dangerous esports side. And like I said before, that is where Stelios comes in. You can see him in the bottom right there, talking to his team. Just bring them back down, ready for this next game. It's going to be so important to go into this next game with a clear head to make sure that they get this win.
The last game, was 9 shots to 10 with Dignitas being that team with 9 shots to their name. So the stats all say that it's been a close match as well. I do see players leaving and rejoining the lobby. So there is going to be a little bit of a delay here between game 3 and 4, hopefully. That won't shake the boys off of form here because they have looked excellent. And no matter the result of this game, teams should fear them heading into that lower bracket. And frankly, if they progress in that upper bracket after beating Dignitas, that's a team that can beat anyone. But game 4 finally underway, ladies and gentlemen. We had a little bit of a shake-up here. But now it is time for DNG to re-establish themselves. Can they go the full distance?
Well, I know they can go the full distance. I think it's a matter of will they go the full distance, and yeah, will they go the full distance? It's this first goal for DNG is going to be so important. Like I said before, it's very much a mental game now for this Dangerous esports side, as I'm sure they are aware that they can win this game. I'm sure Stel has been letting them know that they are in this game, that they are looking on top at at points, and I'd say for the majority of the series so far, they have been the team to be on top. Obviously, a little bit unfortunate in game 2. But all it takes is a goal, I think, for the confidence to be restored into this dangerous esports side. As Grammar is going to get shot, and there is that goal that I was talking about.
And Stelios firing up his team here. That was a beautiful solo effort there from Cash, putting himself between the ball and the man there, shielding him off for that second man, Grammar, to take that one through for the first goal. This was the start they needed when on their final life here in the uppers. Some life breath back into DNG. Grammar looking to build up off that momentum with a flip reset play, but Jorius has that easy pickup, goes for some mechanics of his own. Pluvo gonna have to recover on 0 boost, crash on a quick turn. Can't get the demo, forced to bail away from that play, looking to get himself a better angle for the mechanical opportunity, which Stizzy is always guaranteed to really go for in that position. That's knowing your opponents. Jorius slams down, wants that second touch. Pluvo says no. Apparently Jack grabs it soft. But Pluvo with the bump off gives Cash that extra bit of space and his teammates that extra bit of time to just reposition themselves. And you can see after the demo, but if DNG can just string one pass together, Dignitas are going to have to respond.
A lot of demos are coming out from the Dignitas side as Pluva does fake it, tries to fake it again, and it does. It does get through. Again, another little bit of a, maybe a not a play that you'd be expecting, but it's clearly done its job and it's made its way past apparently Jack and Net to double the lead.
I think apparently Jack's been jump scared there by Pluvo, just dropping down from the heavens right into his face.
Come in and going, boo.
Oh, well, Pluvo, boo. But it doesn't matter how you score them. It's not about the aesthetics. This isn't Ford freestyle. This is the European main event. It's Cash to Grammar. Looks to find that near post. A heavy touch goes to Pluvo. And now they'll certainly fear him because he is back into the game, causing a lot of issues. And if you're going to make a touch too heavy, there's always a player waiting at that 6-yard box. Dignitas all stuck on their own goal line, and you'd think with 3 players in defense, it would be enough to stop the mighty Pluvo. But he's got mighty in the name for a reason. Unstoppable when he is open.
Again, it's them magic spells that he's cast. I'm telling you, he's done something. The magician has been up to something, and it's working so far. Again, still half the game to go, and we saw what Dignitas could do with half the game to go last time. I think they scored 4 or 5 goals in half a game, which I'm sure Dangerous Esports will be aware of as Grammar. I didn't want to speak too soon. Does manage to get to that ball, and yeah, 4-0 now. 2 minutes 20 to go. But again, they cannot be complacent. They will have learned from their mistakes in that game too. Now in game 4, 2 games later, and we'll have to wait and see.
And I saw someone redeemed a Stelios Sui. Unfortunately, he is too busy being a European main event coach at the moment. Maybe we could ask him afterwards, depending on how this day goes. Pluvo, nice second touch there. Does fake out that Dignitas defender, and it does end up just heavier towards that orange side. But Jorius, wow, doing so well to set that play up, and you just kind of saw that one coming. It was a touch of pure perfection, of pure class. I remember when Jorius was first really establishing himself into the scene. He was one of the most mechanical players in the world unanimously. We just got a little bit of a taste of that. A perfect air grab to a bump attempt there. Set off to apparently Jack. That's how Dignitas want to get themselves back into the game. And we know that these 4-goal leads are not safe against Dignitas unless you're on your best behavior. That's a fantastic save from Grammar. But the squishy save will not quite connect.
That was an incredible save. I don't know how he actually kept that out of the net. Very unfortunate to not get back to it, but that's 2 goals that have come back very quick from the side of Dignitas. DNG, they need to make sure they're watching out for those demos. We saw the first goal came from a demo. And yeah, they just need to, again, like I said before, in the second game, they can't afford to overextend, leave each other alone in defense, double commits, same again. And there's one of those demos which I was talking about. Cash is going to find himself with a little bit of time. He's going to opt to play the 50. Only goes as far as Stizzy, though. But Cash just comes out of nowhere. Seems like he just followed him in from behind.
It really does seem so. Jory is back on. Knocked high here. Stizzy will dummy for apparently Jack, just like we saw before. Cash getting the backboard read, and Pluvo reading off Stizzy's miss. And now this looks dangerous for Dignitas. You see themselves chasing back. It's not a position they want to be in when they're already sitting on a 2-goal deficit. But Pluvo will send it right back. That's a lovely cut-off rotation to just try and slow down Dignitas, because now this 3v3 becomes a 4v3. That timer very much in favor of DNG. And you've just got to whittle down that clock. You are still allowed to concede one. Of course, I would very much prefer if they didn't. Cash long. Pluvo's got nothing in the tank, but still tenacious, still brave enough to go for that challenge. And it just leaves Dignitas having to respond, having to take that extra second or two to take a touch. And those seconds are crucial in these kinds of games. Stizzy with a big miss, and that could be game, set, and match. But apparently Jack has his own ideas. He'll go the entire distance. 7 nervy seconds for Dangerous Esports Club. And remember, this is a must-win.
Yeah, and if it's all about the kickoff, if they can get past this kickoff without conceding, you'd like to think that that is the game secured, as they do go for a little kickoff strat.
Oh.
Whoever's going to collect the ball, and another miss comes out of Dignitas, and he does get it down.
Oh.
And that will bring it to game 5 in round 1. What do you think Stelios is saying to his players right now? Because they're now going into one of the biggest matches of their career that so far, obviously minus Cash.
I'll do some lip reading here. Cash, you've still got it. You're still one of the best English players in the world. Pluvo, you're the future best English player in the world. And Grammar, you're the next Cooksey. You're next up. That's what he's telling the players at the moment in his awful webcam mic that he's being forced to use at the moment at his dad's place. But I've got a question here for chat. Do we have any believers in this RAF Storm Shadows chat right now that Dangerous Esports Club can take down Dignitas here in Game 5? They've earned themselves this position after a fantastic Game 4 and early performance. And if you are a Delta here, do we have any mods in chat? Get them out. I'm just kidding. Game 5 is underway, ladies and gentlemen. DNG. They've already left a statement. They've already been screaming from across the balconies. But now it's time to make every news headline. Dignitas, though, will make that job harder.
Yeah, and that is not the ideal start. Probably the nightmare start to this Game 5 from DNG. The cheat just wasn't there. Wasn't ready for that follow-up. Maybe following a bit close. Didn't have the time to react, as Cash is going to just play the 50. We've seen him play so many times so far. As Grammar is going to make it over 1. Jory's there on the backboard, going for his second touch. Gets as far as Cash, who does miss the boost. Grammar also gets his boost stolen, so he can't turn on that ball. Does get a bump, though. Sends him absolutely flying. Pluvo, again, another 50. Lots of 50s coming out this game. Appjack, we've seen him going for them bumps. Oh, getting pogo from Stizzy. And that is a sensational goal. I don't have many words for that. Fair play. That is a lovely plan B.
Yeah, I mean, there's some goals here where even as the opposing side, you just got to sit down and go, fair enough. And that was to no fault, really, of the DNG defense, because how on earth are you going to expect Stizzy to come out at you with a shot like that? But again, it's that double-edged sword. Yes, they've given Dignitas theoretically a 2-goal head start. But at the same time, you've got 4 minutes to try and grab this game back. That is plenty, especially if you can get those forms back. Pluvo looking to try and halve it alone, going for a fancy play of his own. A bump attempted on Stizzy. That one misses. If it had connected, that would have surely halved the deficit. Instead, it's going to have to be starting back from square one. Cash gets the read off the back wall. And you can use it as a bit of a confidence booster. Just do not let it get you down. Apparently, Jack isn't there for the follow-up, but Joria's certainly is. There's the third there. Dignitas coming out swinging, looking to escape what many would have considered an embarrassing scoreline for the first series of the day.
Yeah, absolutely. But as we've seen in this series, there's been a lot of goals. Well, mainly from the side of Dignitas. When they're down, they just find the goal. So hopefully that can be replicated by DNG this time. Still got a lot of time left in this series and plenty of time for 3 goals to happen. A goal every 1 minute 10 seconds would get them to overtime as long as they don't concede. But it's going to take a lot to get past a defensive Dignitas side. They're going to be wanting to hold out for the rest of this game to secure their spot in the upper bracket next round. Get them one step closer to that top 8. But it's not over yet. 3 minutes left to play. Pluvo off his backboard. Gets collected by Cash. Goes for a sidewalk. We've seen him go for them skim touches all throughout his career. And he's somehow become very, very consistent at them. Cash again going for another skim touch. Joyous used all of his boots to get that. Grammar's can only find Appjack. I don't think that the touches aren't quite coming off how they would like to get them. Hello, Grammar. Lovely fake on apparently Jack. Gets a reset over a second. Can he get it over a third? He can't. Stizzy just waits. He knows he doesn't have a limited boost. It is going to come down. It's just really clever play. Something you'd expect out of somebody who did attend the major.
Oh, it's Stizzy again. Looking to try and get that 4th goal for Dignitas. That light at the end of the tunnel for this game is that DNG have proven they can score 4. They've proven they can even score 5. And Cash is still on his game. Beautiful catch here from Cash. A flip reset and a lovely use of the flip and follow through just to sneak his way through the Dignitas defense. Never giving up. Never in doubt. You cannot give Cash space on the ball. On the ball, it doesn't matter what season this is. He's still as lethal in 2025. Pluvo strikes. Stizzy tips this one out wide. 2 minutes, 2 goals. That is very doable.
It is doable, and maybe it's the opposite side of the table for Dangerous Esports. Instead of trying to hold off their lead, they're now chasing the lead, and maybe the mental is also on the side of Dignitas, where you know they need to hold, and they know they need to hold. Can they do it? There must be some nerves on the side of Dignitas.
Certainly, like I said, this is a result that many wouldn't expect. There's going to be a few players out there that will not know the likes of Pluvo and Grammar, of course. I feel like Cash is a very established name to even be Miss Casual or fans at this point. But like I said, either way, I'm hoping that this could be a game to get their name on the map, win or lose, but we're going to only focus on the former in this moment. 60 seconds to get 2 across. That 50 falls poorly. Apparently Jack grabs the 4th, but you can still see Stelios there, hyping up the team, letting them know that there are still those capabilities. It's not impossible. And as long as it's not impossible, you have to keep going.
Yeah, always, like, regardless if this is going to be a series lost for Dangerous, they send it in style. I think...
Give us something else.
I think it's one of those where the start set the tone for the game. The kickoff goal in the first 2 seconds, it's not what you want in a Game 5 situation. Instantly put on the back foot, and since then, Dignitas have been the dominant side.
Oh.
I think the 4th goal that put it in the coffin did just come from a few unfortunate touches from Grammar. I don't think it's anything more than that. And it happens sometimes, but regardless of the series loss, look at the series score. 3-2. A 3-2 loss against Dignitas and ending with a goal. Carry the momentum on to the next series. And we've shown we can play at this level, so what's stopping us from still making top 8? There's still a lower bracket.
Absolutely. You've gone toe-to-toe with Dignitas regardless. 1-goal games were the difference ultimately. There's a chance that this one is going to be one of those wider score lines, unless they get a goal in these dying seconds. Unfortunately, that clock has betrayed us. It was on the dangerous side the match beforehand, but this time it will go the way of Dignitas. And with that, Series 1 is over. Dangerous will be going to the lower bracket, but with the confidence that they took Dignitas till the very end. They went that full distance, and they gave them a fight in every single game. There wasn't really a game there, Cedric, where you were sitting there thinking, Dangerous are getting absolutely dominated, or Dangerous have got no chance in this game. That was never a thought on my mind for any of those games. Even when they went 2-0, 3-0 down in the early stages, you'd seen them score 4 before, you'd seen them score 5 before, and you still had that hope with them. And we know that once that train started to roll, it rolled pretty hard. It was a momentum too tough for even Dignitas to stop at times. Where when Cash was feeling it, and the connective passes between himself, Pluvo, and Grammar start to really lock into place, that's where we saw a lot of these games pushed to those final seconds and waiting for a late game winner or a save to make the difference.
Yeah, and I think it's the DNG have to make sure that they don't come out of this series too disheartened. They can't afford to carry that energy into the next series, which will be against Team BSK. For those wondering, I think they did get swept by GK. So, but as I was saying, like, this is now where Stelios will come in, make sure the heads are clear. Series, forget the bad bits, just remember the good bits. They've taken 2 games off one of the best teams in Europe. That's a statement. Taking one of the best teams in Europe to game 5. This isn't the first time that Pluvo has done this. You've seen it before with the likes of Gentlemates, game 5. They've taken games off Vitality before.
Yeah.
Like, they are at that level when they can find their potential.
It has been fantastic. Yeah. And Team BSK are going to be a hard team to face. They are a good team in their own respects. But also, respectfully, Cedric, they're not Dignitas. They're not Dignitas.
They are definitely not Dignitas.
And that's a pretty big difference.
No, but it is Rusty's 95, Mozzarella, and Pisky. And we did see Mozzarella. No, I think Mozzarella did make an appearance in the main event, but Rusty's did make an appearance in the main event with Selakau. We've seen what they can do. We saw what they could do last split. Taking down Pluvo's side. Last split with Charlie B and Ethan. It came in the end. Charlie B and Ethan. But now, some would say he might have upgraded teammates. He got Cash on his side. He's got Grammar, the previous team before. They've made main event together before. With Cash, I don't see why we can't beat this team.
I don't see how we can't beat this team in convincing fashion as well. I'm not saying we're just going to squeak this out in a game 5 and a close game 4. I think there's real potential here if they stay at that same quality they did in that uppers to sweep that lower bracket series. I'm saying it here now live on broadcast. That's how much faith that I have in Dangerous Esports Club, but it is with the caveat that they have to stay confident and they cannot let that uppers bring them down, because when you do work that hard and you still don't get that series result in your favor, that can be damaging. But if you focus on the positive parts of it, you can quite literally beat almost any other team here in Europe.
Yeah, and I don't see why there couldn't be any team in this bracket. Now that we've seen what they can do with the likes of Dignitas, I don't think there's a team in this bracket that they couldn't beat. Like, I would say Dignitas could potentially be the best team in this bracket. Again, they've got Gentlemates to contend with as well as GK, but aside from that, I don't think there's anyone better than Dignitas. So there's nothing to say that we can't make it through to tomorrow, but we will have to wait and see. We are just waiting for this next game to be ready. It says that it's live on Wikipedia, so I think we're just waiting to get in the lobby. Do you fancy cutting to a quick break Pegasus? Or...
Very quick, just to refill my waters.
Just a really quick break. So yeah, we are going to cut to a super quick break. We won't be too long. Once the game's ready, we'll be back. It could be 5 seconds. It could be 5 minutes. But until then, goodbye very shortly. Hello, everybody. We are back, and Stel has instantly dropped his sue that was redeemed earlier in chat. Thank you very much, Stel, for your soup. I'm sure we'll be back later with more. But we are back. Perfectly timed timer, it must be said. We have just been put into the game. I'm assuming now that there is no test lobbies, but like we said before, we are against Team BSK, which is Rusty's, Mozzarella, and Pisky. So, yeah, here we go. Into game one. I'm assuming it's game one and not a test lobby. Which I am going to just assume from now on. I am going to have to switch over the teams.
Oh, yeah, of course, of course. I was about to say, wow, Team BSK look really good. But no, that's just our players. Makes sense. You know, that makes sense. That makes sense. But of course, Team BSK with a lot of talent on that roster. Mozzarella, Pisky, and Rusty Z95. I know that Team Hosky had a few run-ins with Mozzarella back when Grammar and Pluvo were on that roster and organization. And of course, speaking about Pluvo, he does have some, you know, personal gameplay moments against this man here, Rusty's 95. Like you said, he did formerly play for Seleção, that team that shocked their way into the top 16 with a round 5 Swiss performance against our very own Pluvo. He was able to knock out a portion of that previous Seleção team during the Swiss stage. This is his moment to get the job done. But Rusty Z95 off to a fantastic start with 2 goals quick out the gates.
Yeah, and again, it is not the ideal start, as you were saying. 2 goals down, but you know, maybe they're just warming up to the different level of play. And yeah, there's still 4 minutes to go. Still a long game left ahead of them in this game one. Definitely too early to call it over. 4 minutes left. Let's see what damage Dangerous Esports Club can do. And
third goal comes in here for Team BSK. And whilst we just let that replay run, I did want to mention that Stelios, you heard him in the VC at the beginning giving his cheeky sue because someone redeemed that earlier. But he said that mentalities at the moment are high for Dangerous Esports Club. That all the players in ecstatic spirits, despite the loss in that upper bracket, even with how heartbreaking it may have been. And, well, it's glad that they started off in a good mood, because going 3-0 down whilst already on a bad one could have been disastrous. But you hope now that with that bit of a background context heading into this series, that Dangerous Esports aren't going to be in much of a rut to pull themselves out of, despite the scoreline. Yeah,
and if what Stel said is true, which I know Stel is not a lying man, as he has too many emotions to lie. He said that they're in very good spirits, very happy with the result. Obviously, it could have been more, but why wouldn't you be happy after a game 5 loss to Dignitas? It's, yeah, that would have been an upset to be remembered. However, here we are against Team BSK. 3 minutes left to go, and still no sign of really anything coming from this dangerous side that we saw against, so excel against Dignitas, should I say.
Yeah, play does seem to have slowed down a little bit, and they seem a little bit confused with the amount of space they've been given in front of net. Team BSK have very much just sat back for the most part and waited for these heavy touches from DNG that love to use their surfaces, the backboards, the corners, the walls, and with Team BSK staying so tight to them, it makes it harder for Dangerous to take real advantage. They have to switch it up a little, maybe an infill pass to get that job done. I like that shot coming from Grammar, but wasn't enough of a challenge there for Rusty's 95, and we're going to need some more goals and not just hopeful shots if we want hopes of coming back in this opener.
Yeah, and speaking of hopeful shots, what a save from Pisky. I thought that was going to make its way straight into the back of the BSK net. There's going to be another shot that comes firing down. Mozzarella again slaps that one away above his backboard. Pisky going for a sidewalk. Mozzarella gets a shot on net. Luvo as well to save it. It's going to fall to Cash. Doesn't get the skim touch that we know he loves to go for. Does find an infield pass to Gramo. Does get a perfect 50. It slams the crossbar from Pisky's touch. That was almost another own goal like we would have seen today. That would have been own goal number 3. Cash is going to get shot off. And that one will make its way into the net. 1 minute 22 left, Pigasus. I think there's time.
There absolutely is. And how little doubt was there when you saw that ball falling to Cash, completely unmarked? You just knew that was going to find one of the top corners and there was going to be no chance for a BSK save. So it's nice to see they're getting that form back. A little bit of demos as well following. We saw it in the kickoff. We saw it for that goal as well. Pisky getting one back here against Cash. A little bit of revenge shown. Oh, and he goes for another one against Pluvo. My goodness. Becoming more and more of a scrappy, a more personal affair between these two teams. But I like that bit of scrappiness because I do think that Dangerous can see themselves through the chaos if that's what this game is going to devolve into. Cash lays it up here. Grammar is an option. Wants that backboard. It was a rare bit of space found there. This time there will be none. Rusty's was waiting. Pisky came off the ground regardless. Pluvo stays on. Rusty's gets that big boost. Pluvo hunting for more of those bumps. And this is where BSK are going to start to worry. Gramovo goes alone. Had Pluvo as that second line of offense. And well, you said it was doable before, Cedric. Do you still believe?
I definitely still believe 30 seconds is more than enough time. I think we saw almost 2 goals, if not 2 goals from Dignitas last series in 30 seconds. And I don't see why this Dangerous team wouldn't do exactly the same.
Dangerous back on. Cash off a ceiling. Reset wants to go all the way alone. Mozzarella keeps it out. Demo landing on Pluvo. This one off the corner and oh, we see one go absolutely flying, but Pluvo ready as that last man. A few drags forward. You see Cash locked in. Comms still very much together. BSK, though, do well to professionally knock that one towards the ground. That's going to be the first game done out of the favour of Dangerous. But they were just building up a bit of momentum. Again, it was just those poor starts, that head start that they gave the opponents there that ended up being all the difference and what ended up being a 1-goal game. And I do want to welcome Nation Chat saying Stell is looking rather attractive at the moment, let's just say. And yes, he would certainly win a beauty contest. But I do believe he could win this series for Dangerous Esports Club as well. I'm not going to be too phased after that first game.
Now, and there's still 4 games left in this series. Left, like, all you need is 3 to win it. So 4 games left. I won't worry too much. Just warming up to the pace of the game. Completely different pace. Almost the opposite of what that Dignitas game was. Dignitas was full of pace, full of speed, and a lot of aggression from both teams. Hence why a lot of the games were very high scoring. Whereas this one is a little bit slower, as we set off in this game at number 2. And I expect to see Dangerous fight their way back into this game a little bit more this time.
Absolutely. They were by far the stronger team in the second half, but like I alluded to, it was giving away those goals early on, that head start that BSK got, that allowed them to survive. It wasn't like they were necessarily competing for goals there. They were just defending, looking to hold that lead. And unfortunately, it's going to be another early concession, this time to the car of Mozzarella, who did well for that first 50, recovered himself in a rather beautiful way, it must be said. Some flips there, some ballerina spins, and then eventually just tapping away home that 1 goal. But now you just don't want to concede that second. You do not want to be a victim to that momentum like you were in game 1, because that was the deciding factor. You want to kick right back, because once Dangerous get themselves a goal, they look relatively unstoppable thereafter.
And I think it's a case of stop conceding early goals, and we might be a little bit better off in this series. But nonetheless, it's still only 1 goal, so that is a good sign. Although I hope I don't coerce it as I'm saying that, as Mozzarella gets an unbelievable double tap on the net. He's gonna take this one out himself. Prestige 0 boost, absolutely launches it up to the backboard. Mozzarella is ready. Another off the back ball. Pisky's up very fast. Can't quite beat the defense. Luvo, another 50. BSK really piling on the pressure. Mozzarella, another 50. Does come out. And it is going to lead to another goal from Pisky. And BSK have looked surprisingly solid so far in this game too. Not the way that I thought it was going to go. Maybe that's a bit of Caster's curse coming in.
Yeah, sobering goal from Whiskey Drink towards Dangerous. You came off that high that was the upper bracket and that fantastic performance against Dignitas. But you need to keep it going. If you can't keep that same pace, if you can't keep that same venom, any team in Europe is able to take you down. That is what is so fantastic about this region. It's why it's the best one in the world. 1 all the way down to 16. You can see upsets, you can see teams step up, you can see teams do well against one and struggle against the next, because as soon as you give anyone that bit of space, they will take full advantage. Cashflow given a bit too much space for BSK's favour, and he's managed to wrap that one on target. Rusty 95 forced to put this one wide, and Cash again with 100 boost, wants that backboard, but Rusty was waiting for exactly that, but that's a touch too heavy. Pluvo Grammar wanted that assembly line of shots to eventually find the targets. The BSK defend themselves well, and Dangerous still looking for 2 goals in the second half of this game.
Yeah, and I think last game they scored with, what was it, a minute 30 left to go. I think a goal a little bit earlier this time round would be favourable for this Dangerous roster. Cash, just get it over 1. Maybe try and start something on his own. Rusty's. Just get it over 1. Grammar is there to defend, but don't get as far as Pisky. Very much pinned back, this Dangerous team.
Ooh, and that's a tough 50. You'd call it a cheesy goal for Mozzarella. Just somehow squeezing his way through. And I must say, Pisky has had a fantastic performance individually this series. It's felt like he's been part of every single goal, whether that's an assist or putting the ball in the back of the net himself. It's been a thorn in the side of Dangerous so far. And you really just want to see, at the very least, a goal out of this second game. This could be the moment, but Grammar doesn't have enough boost nor the positioning to get himself above that ball. Has to resort to sending it high. Rusteezy interrupts. Pisky's back on. That has been a sign of danger in this series so far. Mozzarella with a bit too much space. Grammar quickly shuts that down. Makes up for that heavy touch he landed himself. Now it's Pisky again. 50s on. Dangerous. Just trying to get themselves out their own half. Pluvo thinking he has space and time to do so, but it was a cut in rotation, landing that bump against him. What do they have to show in this final minute?
Well, hopefully they've got 3 goals in this last minute. However, the way that this game is heading, I don't see it happening. And it does look like they are going to be forced into a reverse sweep attempt. We saw them reverse sweep the Swiss bracket in day 3, but can they reverse sweep in the open GSL stage? Pisky gets a back of the side go in the wrong direction. Mozzarella going for a skim touch of his own. Bluebo is going to take this forward, see if there's any momentum to be taken into this game 3. Gamma is going to fake the flick, does get it over the defender. I think that was Mozzarella left on his own. It indeed was Mozzarella. But 3-1 gives him a little bit of momentum to take to the 3rd game. But 20 seconds is also enough time to get 2 goals if they get the kickoffs right.
Certainly. Let's see if they do get that kickoff right. Well, Pluvo will take possession. I think they'll be relatively happy with that. The first player challenging doesn't get a touch. However, there is some space for Rusteezy. Send that one across. Go on, Cash. If Psycho was still in chat, that would have been something to behold there if Dangerous pulled that one off. But too many ifs, buts, and maybes. We need some absolutes. We need some scores on the doors here. BSK will take the 2nd game in a row, looking for a sweep here in the lower bracket. And well, we've seen Dangerous kind of slapped back into reality this series. They're going to have to reverse sweep.
I did not expect to be in this position at this point, but it is what it is. I've trust in Stelios that he will put the right words and the right thoughts into the heads of these players, and yeah, fingers crossed they can turn it around and start to dominate.
Big fingers crossed.
It's now or never. It's now or never for this this Dangerous side. Well, I say never until the next event, of the next qualifiers next weekend. But I have faith. It's not over yet. It isn't happening.
Absolutely. This is a team that has had reverse sweeps to their names before. You've got experience, you've got a mental coach on your side, you've got the resources and all the ingredients there for reverse sweep. But cooking is always the hardest part. Collecting the ingredients on their own doesn't do you too much, but there's smiles there from Stale. Motivation being instilled towards their players. That's a positive. That's what you want to see heading into this game 3. And just please, do not concede within the first 30 seconds.
That is the goal at this point. If they can do that, then they might be okay. As Rusty's, he's going to collect this ball. Just beat Grammar. Bit of a dive from Grammar. Cash is going to steal the boost from Pisky. Pisky still gets a bump and it makes him very awkward. But it's going to be a free backboard touch for Pluvo. Wow, it's not a free backboard touch. What a touch from Rusty's to stop that one happening. But again, we said in the first 30 seconds, and it is the 30-second mark. Pisky puts BSK in front, and again, this is not the start that you were hoping for, or anyone in chat was hoping for this Dangerous roster. And let's hope this time that's where the conceding ends.
Well, I guess I got what I asked for. It wasn't within 30 seconds. It was on 30 seconds. Not quite, what I was alluding to there, but hopefully Dangerous are able to strike back. Again, they were able to do it against Dignitas. So why not BSK? Mozzarella doesn't get the touch they like. Pisky flips away, and now it's a 2v1. Pluvo has been that bumping man before, but escaping out of danger. BSK are able to bring that ball back forward. That's a huge shot. Mozzarella forced to stretch his car all the way towards his own backboard to make that save. Dangerous having sights of a few of these openings, but if we are going to give a compliment to BSK, it's been their defensive efforts. And that when those opportunities have presented themselves offensively, they have taken them. They're not really a team that will go out of their way to outplay you. They'll just grind you down, force those cracks to show, and as soon as they do, they'll stretch it wide open. Oh, and it's another kickoff. Pisky shot. Cash there with some boost, however, to prevent that kickoff goal happening thereafter. That has been, like I said, a weak point in the rosters of Pluvo and Grammar for quite some time. They can't quite shake that one off yet, but Cash had a chance again. It was Pluvo hunting for those demos, but an open net. We'll see Rusty's with a familiar 3-0 lead against Dangerous in this series.
Now, this is worst case scenario, isn't it, really? I think
yeah,
a lot of it seems to be stemming from the kickoffs. Although I think it might just be exceptional kickoffs from this BSK roster, because there wasn't that many kickoff goals when it was last series against Dignitas, so who knows. But there's still 3 minutes left in the game. It's definitely not over yet. Time to try and avoid the sweep for this DNG side. It's going to open up temporarily, but not for long enough. Pisky has had a very good game, and he's going to get an opening again.
Oh,
Cash
my goodness.
does get a lovely save, but is it going to be enough to keep the ball out of the net? It will be for now. Pisky catches Pluvo off. Pluvo does manage to get back to it. Lots of demos going on at the moment. Cash with a bit of time and a lot of mechanics. There's the pop it, gets the bump. Gonna fall
that's
for
gorgeous.
Pluvo.
Oh,
But what a save. This BSK roster has really, really surprised me. They've played exceptional, and the defense has been rock solid.
They really have been, and it was like the team we played in round 5 as well. Cloud Esports, I believe it was, which was part of that Celestial roster. And the one compliment that we gave that roster were how they were defensively. They were a bit more deeper set than more teams you're used to watching in Europe. And they were just happy to go save after save and play for counterattacks. BSK feel rather similar, where they are just so defensively strong. So it just feels like that's a characteristic that you get coming out of that Celestial camp. And it has been tough for Dangerous Esports to break through, which, I mean, only goes to compliment how they've given themselves such a head start early in the game. Because you actually would want to move these games into a more closer affair where goals are not worth as much compared to what they would be against any other opponents.
Yeah, and I think they must be feeling a little bit disheartened and disappointed in this result. But again, it's still a minute left to go. It isn't over. Another save from Pluvo. But again, if they want to get through this round, they kind of need to score, well, now.
Yep. You need them to grab it here, but Pisky says absolutely not. Might get that second read, but Dangerous able to prevent that for 45 seconds left on the clock. A goal for every 15 seconds required out of BSK, and counting down rather quickly. Cash forward. At least give us a consolation. Give us a little bit of hope out of these final seconds. It feels rough that this would be how the run ends. But of course, signing to Dangerous Esports Club, you do see the new logo, you see the new colouring, you see the new name backing them now. That sounds committal. Like this team will be together, not like there were any signs of them separating in the first place. So what a first open this would be to springboard off for the rest of the split. A fantastic start. They will settle for 16th place and a Game 5 matchup versus Dignitas. But ultimately, 16 is where it will end.
Indeed, and I'm not going to lie, after that first series, I was really hopeful for the rest of the day. So it's definitely a shock to get swept in that series, but it's not going to be the last time that we're in this position. I guarantee that there's plenty more to come from this roster. And yeah, maybe a bit unlucky, maybe the kickoffs need a bit of work, but they've got another week to figure that out until the next qualifier. So, like I said, plenty more to come from this team. I don't know what your thoughts are, Pegasus, but yeah, that's mine.
It's important experience, is what I would say here. They did just about get their way through the Swiss after, I mean, I'm sure they'll admit themselves having a pretty abysmal first 2 rounds, and then managing to catch themselves back. That showed that they needed that time in that setting to just get themselves back up to speed and making these top 16s. They got themselves here. Yes, they got that Game 5 versus Dignitas, but if there's one thing that Europe calls for more than any other region in the world, it's consistency. And that was a lesson learnt there here in the lower brackets versus that really strong side we faced there. Team BSK proving to everyone that they are certainly no slouch. So when you're looking ahead, when you're looking at that Open 5, Open 6, where this team surely stick together, there's going to be a lot to work on. I know that Stel definitely had his pointers for the team when referring to that Swiss stage. Well, this is his first time in a top 16, and I'm sure he's going to be going out there researching and having some things to say about the mental game for the players for the next time that they get there. And I do truly believe there'll be a next time, and 2 of them as well.
Yeah, well, until the next qualifier, we will be back. I'm not sure whether, we might be back. Hopefully we're back. However, that is now with Dangerous Esports Club. If they decide to have us back, would be more than happy to cover Dangerous Esports once more. But Until then, thank you all so much for watching and tuning in. Until next time.